3 weeks after I was on the carnivore, I knew I almost had my arms. And I said, gee, I don't have any bruises on my arms, but I'm always full of bruises. I can't put my finger on it, but I know something's happening. I have to tell you, that has to be the carnivore.
I've got a Labrador. She can hardly lift herself up off the floor. I won't tell you what the veterinarian said, but the treatment was chemotherapy. And I said, no way. That's when I said, you know what, this could be the ticket. So I started administering it, and she took to it right away. In 3 weeks, you could tell she was very alert. 6 weeks into the protocol, she seemed like she was she was going on a 5-mile walk. I was like, my goodness, she is just like prime again.
Call 866-836-8735. That's 866-836-8735. Or visit carnivore.com. That's carnivora.com.
Known as the Prince of Paleofiction, Max Hawthorne was born in Brooklyn and attended school in Philadelphia, where he graduated from the University of the Arts. He's the author of the award-winning Chronos Rising novel series. He's also the author of Monsters and Marine Mysteries, which reveals never-before-seen evidence based on scientific investigation, as well as interviews with eyewitnesses who had harrowing encounters with real sea monsters and survived. In addition to being a best-selling indie novelist, he's an amateur paleontologist, a blog talk radio host, a voting member of the Authors Guild, an IGFA world record-holding angler, and an avid sportsman and conservationist. His hobbies include archery, fishing, boating, boxing, and the collection of fossils and antiquities. He lives in the greater Northeast with his wife, daughter, and an enormous Siberian forest cat who, when he's not stalking Max's toes, sleeps on his desk as he writes. And his latest book is in his Chronos Rising series, is titled Chronos Rising Purgatory. Max Hawthorne, welcome back to Coast. How are you?
I am great, my friend. Thank you so much for having me. It's great to be here.
My pleasure. Great to have you back. You and I have talked a number of times, not only on Coast, but elsewhere. And I mean, the comparisons with you, and I hope you don't mind this, but I mean, you know, if someone does it like an elevator pitch, and they say, well, what, you know, explain Max Hawthorne to me, I would say, you know, like Peter Benchley meets Michael Crichton or Michael Crichton. How do you feel about that comparison? Does that sit well with you?
I think it's incredibly flattering. You're talking about two of the greatest writers that we've had. I mean, how could anybody go wrong with that? And I think that there's a lot of truth to it, because Benchley was known for having a specialty in the marine terror type novels like Jaws and White Shark and so forth. And Crichton obviously is a legend for his Jurassic Park books and, well, obviously many other novels.
And for those not familiar with Chronos Rising, and it's now with Purgatory, that's like 7 books, I think, in the series, right? If we include the prologue, which is Diablo.
Yes.
Give us the elevator pitch for the Chronos Rising series.
Well, the elevator pitch, maybe you could go with like the tagline from book 1, which is, after 65 million years, the world's deadliest predator is back. Like you touched on briefly before, the concept being a realistic explanation that an apex predator from the time of the dinosaurs could still be alive with an actual population of them today, isolated, however, and then suddenly be let loose on the world. So it's kind of like, the hashtag Jaws meets Jurassic Park, readers first came up with in 2014, relative to the book, so that would be the best description right there.
And the creature in question, Plyosaurus, give us the essential details on the Plyosaurus. What was it? What did it look like? How big was it, etc.?
Well, Plyosaurus were like, were a type of plesiosaur, which everybody thinks of Nessie, the Loch Ness monster, the picture of that long neck marine reptile with a sea turtle-like body and 4 flippers and a short tail. But there were those were piscivores or fishers. The Plyosaurus were the large-headed, short-necked versions of those that were more like the lions of the sea. They had, if you picture like, I always tell people like a gigantic crocodile, but with a short tail, and instead of four stubby legs, four large, powerful flippers that work together to move them at high speed through the water, that would give you an idea of what they were like. Their jaws were wedge-shaped like the crocodiles. They probably had the most powerful bite force in history. The crocs are known for having the highest bite force of modern animals. So picture a crocodile that was 50, 60 feet long. That's what you'd be dealing with. Size-wise, fossil evidence already shows they got as big as a sperm whale, and there are indications from bite marks on other pliosaurs that were killed by larger specimens that they may have actually reached substantially larger sizes. I wouldn't be surprised if they topped 25 meters.
Wow. And you have, I mean, you're a paleontologist. You have fossils of is it a plesiosaur or a pliosaur?
I have both. In my display case, I have cervical centra. Those are the round disc-like bones of the vertebra, and they indicate that an animal, I would say approximately 52 feet long. I have a series of them all from the same specimen. I also have bones from babies. I have bones from subadults. I even have a section of jaw with a 4-inch tooth in it.
A 4-inch tooth. Wow.
That's only a fragment of the tooth. The whole tooth is not there. So.
And I mean, how many? Do we have any idea how many pliosaurs would have been swimming in the ocean at any given time?
So they ranged from the Jurassic to the Cretaceous period, a substantial period of time. I would say numbers, there were many different species, most of which are known for only fragmentary remains or even a single fossil, though, which is disheartening. But your best comparison would probably be linking them to modern cetaceans. If we look at the sperm whale, for example, which is an apex predator of today, the ocean, there were, before whaling, 400,000 sperm whales. So it's quite likely that there were hundreds of thousands of pliosaurs roaming the oceans at any given moment.
And give us the subject of the prologue in the series is called Diablo, where you kind of lay out. It's actually ingenious. The premise by which pliosaurs could have survived the K2 extinction event, which was likely a meteor, smashing into around the Yucatan Peninsula and causing this nuclear winter. How, in your incredible imagination, did pliosaurs survive the K2 extinction event?
Well, what I did was, when you're trying to create something for readers or moviegoers, you want to get this suspension of disbelief. So you want to come up with a reasonable explanation that makes sense and could actually happen where this could have taken place. So what I did was, it started off in Cronus Rising, the first novel, where a series of flashback sequences that went back to the very end of the Cretaceous, and then that fast-forwarded into the Diablo novelette. But so basically, I had a pod of these animals and a mating chase going on, where there was an enormous female, who was about 80 feet long, being pursued by, I'm not sure, I think it was like 8 or 10 of them, these males called jacks, like fish are like this. Males tend to be smaller often than females, and a bunch of them will gather together to pursue the female, vying for the right to mate. So I upscaled after these pliosaurs, and I had a mating chase going on, where the female was being pursued by these males until only one was left, and that strongest one acquired the right to mate, pass on his genes, etc. So what happened is the animals were actually there about 1,000 miles from what would be the Yucatan Peninsula when the asteroid plowed through the atmosphere and smashed into the ground at a steep angle. So they witnessed this devastation, which obviously interrupted their communication, etc. And then they were subjected to the after effects that came from the asteroid strike. Blinding flash, they were temporarily blinded, the shock waves that stunned them, and then, of course, hard on its heels came 1,000-meter tidal waves. So these animals were swept up by this gigantic wave, and nearby them was a caldera. For people that don't know what calderas are, it's a volcano that millions of years earlier has had its entire top two-thirds or so exploded out. So all that remained was like a gigantic bowl-shaped depression in the ground, etc. So this was a marine caldera, this extinct volcano, or dormant volcano, and this tidal wave, which contained all these plyosaurs and an entire ecosystem of prehistoric life, swept them up, swamped the caldera because it was actually falling in the caldera, and kept going, leaving or creating all of a sudden an 8-mile-wide saltwater aquarium. So you've got this entire cretaceous ecosystem of marine reptiles, fish, squids, etc., all imprisoned in this 8-mile-wide, 10,000-foot deep bowl of soil. And it worked very nicely because geothermal heating, aka from the volcanic activity, even allowed them to survive a nuclear winter and even ice ages over the ongoing millennia. So it kind of kept them trapped there in their own enclosed world, to say. And after it was present, after shock, get over the side of it, release some animals into the sea, and obviously that's where some cycles begin.
Right, and there would be more than just, one or two breeding pairs. There would be, I guess, a viable population to keep the species going. So then how do they escape into the Atlantic Ocean?
Well, in the book, in more extreme detail, and then in Diablo, as you mentioned, the volcano was completely extinct, and there was essentially an eruption, and its sides split open, and the sea flooded in, merging with the waters of the Caldera Lake. And the sole surviving Plyosaurus female escaped into the sea, along with 20 of predatory fish known as the bulldog fish and proto squid, all sorts of other marine nasties. Obviously, you need a whole ecosystem that has to deal with that.
Amazing. And so this pliosaur, again, terrorizing all these coastal villages up and down I guess, primarily the eastern seaboard in the United States.
Well, I mean, it's an apex predator. Like, let's say that, if human beings can maybe get through the material system, but let's say that an African lion was let loose into Florida, whatnot. And then when people get in its way, this animal or the pride of them would start to explore every territory they would see the existing predators and stand up to them. They would keep that food sources, etc. They would set up territory for themselves. They would mate, multiply, etc. That's like an invasive species would do. In this case, the pliosaur has vestigial memories or super memories to go back from when its kind used to roam those oceans 65, 66 million years earlier, and so it starts to explore the area. The place is different. The Western Inland Sea is no longer there. The United States at one point, so it starts to explore, and it starts to set up shop, and it does what it would do. It feeds on whatever comes its way. It has no fear of people. It doesn't know what foes are. It's trying to touch with them. Anything that competes with it, like an encounter with a sperm whale, it could attack while the whale's feeding on a giant squid thousands of feet down. They attacked a huge blue whale at one point, and then it comes close to the conflict of human beings, which is begins to rise up and sink boats, and it becomes a huge unattended problem.
I understand that you created this scenario out of your vivid imagination, but is it plausible that Plyosaurus could have survived the Kfi extinction event somehow, maybe not in a caldera or some other way, and it still exists?
Well, pliosaurs have been extinct for 90 and 91 million years as far as the fossil record goes. But if there were marine reptiles that survived the Cretaceous extinction, they would have to have some way of surviving everything that's been since then. It's possible that there were, the Earth went through a nuclear winter, as you touched on. So that means a large portion of the seas would have frozen, maybe 2 meters thick in places or so. That would make it difficult for marine reptiles to rise and breathe, but they're obviously the entire planet was frozen. And we still have sea turtles. A lot of documents that this go way back to that time period. So I don't think it's possible. It's just a question of it having an environment. I mean, there are in, I think it's in Australia, the species of Jurassic tree called the Wallonie pine, which was the inspiration for the aqua Caldera. It's just a little tiny enclosed valley that had some sort of built-in climate control since the Jurassic. And these trees, the Wallonie pines, that existed since then. 150 million years or so.
So, I mean, it's maybe not the dinosaur, but I mean, when you see accounts of, Loch Ness Monster or Ogopogo or the Great Lakes, we have Bessie in Lake Erie, we have Campy in Lake Sand Springs. Do you think that those are some living fossil, or are they sturgeon or eels? What do you think's going on there?
I think that in lakes, it's much more likely that you're going to have possibly isolated, very, very huge sturgeon, for example, or Wells catfish, things that nature, possibly sometimes go to sea lion, although they're so boisterous on the surface and noisy, and you would think they would be more easily spotted. So I think that's very, very, very large fish is often the explanation when it comes to lake monsters, okay? But when you get into the ocean where you have millions of cubic miles of water and only 5% of the sea bed that's been explored, it's much, much more likely that you can sort of hold over, let's say, from a time gone by that's still out there eating out of living and hanging on.
All right. We've got about 3 minutes here till the bottom of the hour. Could you get a little sample of the latest installment of Charles Darwin's Protocol?
Sure. On the very beginning?
Wherever you'd like to read. Wherever you'd like to read.
It would be my pleasure. I'll set up this chapter 1 of the book was dedicated to Gary Castleberry. He passed a few years ago. He was a book that now released for traveling. Let's see, chapter 1. That should be my narration virtuous. The creature that didn't die. Takes out its thoughts that rose and fell as he stalked toward it. The smoking, racing defense technology crossed platform with the one claw at him. Before it gets beyond reach of the flailing hands and feet, his main head stopped to one side. He had to admit he was impressed with the reptilian's tenacity. He turned to the front of the false crisis to his claymore shortly after the melee began. By his estimate, that was a good 7 minutes ago. So despite hanging suspended in the air all that time, with its static broadsword ran to its chest, it stubbornly refused to give up the oath. Actually, that was selling within short. Even mortally wounded, it was still game. Feral eyes ablaze, it uttered a non-stop string of arrow-like hisses as it alternated lunging at him and clawing at the aged blade that was slowly but surely stopping its flight. When the battle began, they had no time to size up his adversaries. They'd come at him in a rush. Before things pick up again, and if the hyena-like howls echoing in distance for any indication, his restless to be brief. He decided to take a moment to scrutinize one of his opponents. His cobalt eyes narrowed as he studied the enraged reptile. It wasn't quite as big as him, probably a half a head shorter, but its 6'6" fist and a solid 300 pounds, it was no light weight. Like being derived from similar stock, its appearance was markedly different. It had an unnatural look to it, as if it had been born prematurely and wasn't quite complete.
Max, I'm going to jump in here. We'll take a quick time out. We'll come back and discuss the new book, Charles Darwin's Purgatory, and Real Life to Monsters. Max Hawthorne. The BG, How Can You Mend a Broken Heart? It's in the break on Coast to Coast A1. and women from the KFI 24-hour newsroom. Legal challenges and appeals to the abortion battle have more people in groups looking to the White House to do something.
The White House says President Biden has no immediate plans to take executive action on abortion access. However, they are planning to change the administration has done, including the FDA moving to increase access to abortion pills.
ABC Space and Legal says at least 12 states have ceased nearly all abortion services, but there are lots of legal challenges. Claims in Kentucky, Louisiana, and Utah have been temporarily blocked in court. Gas prices in LA and North counties have dropped for the 18th straight day. In LA County, regular unleaded is averaging just under $6.30 a gallon, with just over $6.20 in Orange County. SoCal weather from KFI, low clouds and fog by the coast, and sunny, mid-60s to low 70s at the beaches, mid-70s to low 80s in metro LA and OC, mid-70s to mid-80s in Union Valley, mid to upper 80s in the Inland Empire. Temperatures going to drop a degree or two for the Independence Day holiday. We leave local from the KFI 24-hour newsroom. I'm Brian Durant.
Taking care of the traffic, we're there to closure in the downtown LA area. 101 southbound Alameda Street. Long-term concessions will help close, and we'll let you know when that's going to be open. Dana Park, 91 East on Mountain Avenue, transfer is all lanes blocked. Mansfield Beach, we have work going on the 405 southbound between Steel Beach Boulevard and the 22, the right lane is blocked there. KFI in the sky helps get you there faster. I'm Jonathan White.
From a Martha Stewart podcast, the woman who's done it all, from TV to magazines to radio and more, engages in intimate, in-depth interviews with some of the world's most fascinating people. Every time I go anywhere, all they want to know is how rich.
You don't think I get approached all the time by people that say,
You think you could get your picture of Martha? You can get her autograph?
Listen to the Martha Stewart podcast on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts.
KFI, AM 640, more stimulating talk. Tell you what.
Because I might have forgotten and then it would have dried up and died.
With you, that could happen.
I hate flowers. I don't taste like anything. That's why it's done again. Here's the flow, and it's weekdays 2 to 6 on KFI.
Can I homeschool my daughter through college? I said,
I'll come over and help you.
what class would you teach?
I would teach,
Jerry and Shannon.
what's the wine tasting?
Wine tasting. Weekdays at 10 a.m. on KFI.
Matter of fact, my first got the Beamer, the first time I got my car.
For some reason there was a glitch in it. All it would do was talk to me in German.
And then I screamed, you know what, you're doing this on purpose.
Mornings from 6 to 10 on KFI.
Can I even say the word?
No.
I feel like we just got 9 emails.
You guys are still pro-vaccine, anti-vaccine, vaccine.
Pro-vaccine, anti-vacciners.
Jerry and Shannon.
I like this show. I'm having a good time.
Weekdays at 10 a.m. on KFI.
Her job was to drive me to school.
But I was her geeky brother.
So when we get close to school, she would always tell me,
Get down in the wheel well.
I want people seeing that I'm driving you to school.
The Tim Conway Jr. Show.
I did wonder. For the old self-esteem, I'll tell you that.
Weeknights at 6 on KFI.
We have the best medical system in the world. You know that, don't you?
Which is why people have to go to GoFundMe, which is why they go bankrupt.
Which is why people have to decide, do we pay the rent or do we pay medical bills?
We have the best medical system in the world. Bill.
Remember, no insurance is the best insurance.
Mornings from 6 to 10 on KFI.
The best way to get into trouble and cause a ruckus is to tell the truth.
You know, first answer.
You actually don't get in much trouble for making things up.
You get in trouble when you tell the truth. Weekdays 2 to 6 on KFI.
I've been down before. Riding along
Welcome back. Just my opinion, but this is the definitive version of a jet airliner. With apologies to Steve Miller, who is fantastic, but Paul Pinia's version, to me, is the better one. And he wrote it, so that makes sense. If you were to attempt to communicate with an alien life form, what would you want to say? And just as importantly, how would you say it? It's a question that's inspired countless science fiction stories and fueled real debate between scientists involved in the search for extraterrestrial intelligence. Now, a digital artist and academic has produced his own answer with a collection of mind-bending poems written in an artificial language that was designed for alien communication. Richard Carter, a senior lecturer in digital media at the University of Roehampton and author of the new collection Signal, has always been interested in code languages and various modes of digital communication. So when he came across LeetCode, a lingua franca invented in 1960 by the mathematician Hans Freudenthal as a means for alien interactions, he was intrigued by the possibilities it raised as both an artistic medium and a cosmic conversation starter. And you can read more about this fascinating story, How to Write Poetry to Communicate with Aliens. That's in the news section at coasttocoastam.com. And if you'd like to hear tonight this morning, and you want to find out more and hear more of the sound of me talking, just go to my website, strangeplanet.ca, and you'll find information on my other radio projects, like my weekly syndicated radio program, Richard Serrett's Strange Planet, my podcast of the same name, my daily afternoon drive home show here in Toronto, and that's the Richard Serrett Show on Saga 960. I have a free monthly newsletter, a merch shop, a YouTube and a Rumble channel, and it's all under one roof for a convenient one-stop shopping. Just go to strangeplanet.ca, strangeplanet.ca. Now back to more of my conversation with the prince of paleofiction, Max Hawthorne. His latest, Chronos Rising, Purgatory, and get this outstanding subtitle, Sun, Sand, and Slaughter. Book your timeshare now. We'll also talk about real live sea monsters. That's all coming up next on Coast to Coast AM.
Big news, Greta Van Susteren is back on Newsmax. Tune into Newsmax at 6 p.m. Eastern tonight to watch The Record with Greta Van Susteren and get the real news. Plus, check out the new lineup of Rob Schmidt, Eric Moline, and more. Newsmax is on all the major cable systems and streaming platforms, and if they don't carry Newsmax, call them and demand it. And download the free Newsmax app on your phone. Make the switch to Newsmax today. You'll love it. And there's also Newsmax.com.
Every search you make, every click you take, they'll be watching you.
Tired of companies like Google and Facebook touching everything you do online? There's actually a simple solution. DuckDuckGo. It's an all-in-one privacy app with a built-in private search engine, web browser, one-click data clearing, email protection, and more. All for free. Download the app today and get the most comprehensive privacy protection with a push of a button. DuckDuckGo. Privacy simplified.
My doctor prescribed me Viagra. It wasn't covered by my insurance, so it was costing me like $65 a pill. That's expensive.
Over 20 million guys like us use Viagra. Over a certain age, we just need it. I found a way to pay less than $3 a pill and get virtually the same effect of the $65 pill. I heard an ad just like this on the radio, called, and for $99 I got 40 generic versions of the $65 pill. Save yourself money and call right now and get over 40 pills for $99. There's no embarrassment here to use Viagra. If we're over 50, we need it, but not at high prices. Call now with your credit card and get the 40 pill special for just $99.
800-847-1077. 800-847-1077. That's 800-847-1077. Paid for by Steel Man Pills.
We're back with Max Hawthorne, a best-selling novelist, amateur paleontologist, and also an IGFA world record-holding angler. Max, what do you hold the world record in for fishing?
It's a species of shark that I caught many years ago.
And,
to be honest, it would be 3. I actually, down in Florida, caught and released what would be the world record nurse shark, and in Montauk, gosh, we're going back almost 30 years ago now. I was out there with a bunch of my friends.